Now that you've seen when to reach for an agent and how to structure its loops, we shift to the other side of the integration equation: how your application delivers responses and processes data at scale, leaning on the same four helpers that keep every lab's console output predictable as we add streaming, vision, and batch workloads. You have waited on a batch job that should have been a stream. You have pulled an endpoint, burning credits, while the answer sat ready on the other side. That stops now. By the end of this module, you will consume a streamed response event by event, send an image and handle the result in real time, submit a batch and pull it correctly, and know instantly whether the job calls for batch or real time. One image, one stream, no waiting. You're diving into streaming, vision, and batch processing, key integration patterns on the exam. If you want to extend that automation into everyday administration, this course shows how to build AI agents that handle tasks across Microsoft 365. It covers agent development with Microsoft Graph, Python, and Azure AI, plus a full capstone where you design a multi-agent admin platform. The link is in the description. We start by setting up an identity that signs in without you, making everything schedulable. First, you consume a streamed response event by event using invoke web request, so you can handle live data as it arrives. Next, you send an image and process the result with invoke REST method, unlocking vision tasks in your scripts. Then you submit a batch and pull it correctly with start job and receive job, mastering long-running operations. Finally, you choose between batch and real-time under a constraint, applying the right approach for cost or speed. You walk away with a set of scripts you can run on any tenant. When you call Claude without streaming, the client waits for the entire response before showing anything. That feels slow, and long requests can hit HTTP timeouts. Streaming fixes both problems. The server sends events as each token is generated, so the first text appears almost instantly, and the connection stays alive. The trade-off is that you receive raw events, message start, content block deltas, stop markers, in a specific order. The SDK gives you two ways to consume them: listen event by event for real-time UI updates, or call get final message to reassemble the complete message object. In this step you will watch the event stream arrive and then use the SDK's built-in assembler to get the final result. Priya sends a streaming request asking explain quantum computing. Within 200 milliseconds, the start event fires, no timeout ceiling. Delta events then arrive one by one, first quantum, then computing, then uses, and so on. Each token appears as its own event, in perfect order. When the model finishes, a stop event closes the stream. Finally, calling get final message assembles the complete response. Quantum computing uses qubits to perform calculations. This proves streaming sends events in start delta stop order, but total generation time remains unchanged. The script will print every streaming event in order, from message start through message stop. You will see thinking deltas, text deltas, and the final assembled message with usage stats. This step is a guided exercise. The lab runtime prints the header, the exam note, and the pitfall reminder, then calls checkpoint to mark your progress. The actual streaming implementation is left for you to build. The objectives file defines what done looks like, and the expected output fixture shows the shape your run should produce. The output lists every event in the stream. Message start names the model, content block start opens a thinking block, 14 thinking deltas arrive, then the block stops. A text block opens, 86 text deltas stream in, the block stops, and the stream ends with message delta and message stop. The first text byte appeared at 0.7 seconds, the full response finished at 4.9 seconds. The final assembled message contains one text block of 412 characters, and the usage shows 31 input tokens and 204 output tokens. Notice that the SDKs get final message, collected everything, you never concatenated deltas yourself, which is the pitfall. Hand rolling a promise around events loses non-text blocks and usage data. When you need structured data from a document, like an invoice, sending the image to Claude is often faster than OCR pipelines. But the order of the blocks matters. Putting the image before the text instruction measurably improves extraction quality, even though the reverse also works. You'll also see why cost is a factor. Images consume far more input tokens than text, so for repeated use, the Files API lets you upload once and reference by ID. Watch for the block order, the token breakdown, and the alternative file reference approach as you run this step. Priya has a receipt image, receipt.jpg, from a coffee shop. She writes a script that reads the file, encodes it to base 64, and places it in a message before the text extract the total as JSON. When she runs it, the API returns a JSON object with the total 48.50. The usage shows 1,105 prompt tokens, but 1,020 of those are from the image, over 92% of the cost. This proves that image tokens dominate input cost, and the image must come before the instruction for Vision to extract structured data correctly. We'll send invoice.png as a base 64 encoded image block, followed by a text instruction to extract vendor, invoice number, date, and total. The response will return those fields and a confidence note. The script calls step header to display the module banner, then exam note to frame the scenario, and pitfall to remind you that reading isn't doing. The real work, encoding the image, building the message with the image block first, and calling the messages API, is the part you implement inside the to-do block, guided by objectives.md. The output shows the image was sent as base 64, 214 kilobytes, with media type image/PNG. The block order is confirmed, image first, then the text instruction. Claude returns the vendor Northgate components, invoice INV 4471 dated August 3, 2026, total £61,400, and notes the total is printed twice and both readings agree, high confidence. The usage line reveals the image dominated the input count at 1,604 tokens versus only 88 output tokens. The alternative source section reminds you that uploading via files.upload and referencing by file ID avoids re-encoding, but requires the beta files API 2025-04-14 header on both the upload and the message. On the exam, Vision items usually turn on cost or repeat use, and image is expensive in input tokens, and the Files API is the answer when the same document is used across many requests. When you have a large number of independent prompts, the Realtime API is slow and expensive. The Batch API solves this. You submit a file of requests, Claude processes them asynchronously at half the cost, and you poll for results. The critical detail is that results come back in any order, not the order you submitted them. If you match results to inputs by position, you will silently attach the wrong outputs to the wrong inputs. The correct approach is to key every request with a custom ID and use that to pair results. In this step, you will submit 120 requests, poll until completion, and stream the results keyed by custom ID. You submit 3 messages with custom IDs A, B, and C. The Batch API charges half price and gives you a batch ID right away. When you poll the processing status, it moves from validating to in progress to ended. Once ended, you download the output file and see custom ID B first, then A, then C, not the order you submitted. If you had zipped results by index, you would have mismatched every single one. Instead, you pair each result to its input using the custom ID field, which guarantees correct matching regardless of return order. We will submit a batch of 120 requests, poll its processing status every 30 seconds, and then stream the results. Watch how the succeeded count climbs and how the final results are keyed by custom ID, not by position. First, we import the shared lab runtime and call step header to display the step banner. Then we submit the batch. We read a SOL file of 120 requests, each with a custom ID, and call the messages batches API. The response gives us a batch ID. We then enter a polling loop. Every 30 seconds we fetch the batch status and print the processing status and succeeded count. When the status becomes ended, we retrieve the results. We stream the output file, parse each line, and print the custom ID, result type, and either the content or error message. Finally, we note the cost savings and the exam-relevant pitfall. The batch submitted with 120 requests and returned an ID. During polling, we saw the status go from in progress with 0 succeeded to 64 succeeded after 30 seconds, and finally ended with 118 succeeded, 2 errored, and none cancelled or expired. When we streamed the results, notice they are keyed by custom ID. Ticket 0007 succeeded with priority P2, ticket 0031 errored because the image exceeded the size limit, and ticket 0088 succeeded with priority P1. The results arrived in a different order from submission. If we had zipped by index, 96 of 120 rows would have been wrong. This is the classic pitfall. Batch results are unordered, so custom ID is the only safe way to pair them. When you integrate Claude into a production system, you face a recurring architectural decision: should this workload run in real-time or as a batch? The trade-off is almost always about money versus latency. Real-time calls cost more because they reserve compute and return a result immediately. Batch calls are roughly half the price, but they offer no completion time guarantee. Your job might finish in 10 minutes or 6 hours. In this step, we practice making that call under a concrete constraint. 40,000 support tickets must be classified overnight, results are needed by 7 in the morning, and the budget is £90. You will see the arithmetic that eliminates one option and a single question that always decides the other. Priya needs to process 40,000 tickets by 7 a.m., but she only has £90. Real-time processing would cost £172, way over budget. Batch, on the other hand, costs just £86, which is half the price and fits perfectly. Plus, batch can finish well before the deadline. The key factor here is that nobody is sitting around waiting for these results, they're processed overnight. So, with no latency requirement and a tight budget, batch is the clear choice. We will run a decision script that prints the constraint, the cost and time estimates for both approaches, and the final choice. Watch how the numbers rule out real-time immediately and how the batch option leaves just enough headroom. The script starts by importing the lab runtime helpers and calling step header to display the module, step, and blueprint domain. Then it prints the constraint: 40,000 tickets, a 7.m deadline, and a £90 budget. 2 lines of arithmetic follow. Real-time at £0.0043 per call totals £172, which blows the budget, while batch at £0.0021 totals £86 and fits. The script then states the decision and explains when the answer would flip, before issuing a checkpoint instruction. The output confirms exactly what the theory predicted. Real-time costs £172, nearly double the budget, so it is out. Batch lands at £86, £4 under the cap, and the 7-hour window is generous enough that the lack of a latency guarantee is acceptable. The pitfall is spelled out clearly: batch has no completion time guarantee, so meeting the deadline once does not make it a scheduling mechanism. On the exam, the deciding question is always whether someone is waiting for the result. We have covered the 4 automation patterns that turn streaming, vision, and batch into repeatable scripts. You now know the templates for consuming events, sending images, polling batches, and making the batch versus real-time call. The single most useful thing to carry away is that every one of these tasks is fully automatable. When you face a streaming, vision, or batch problem, you reach for PowerShell, not a browser. So to wrap up, streamed responses come in pieces, and you have to collect them yourself. When sending images, always base 64 encode them inside the content array. For batch jobs, keep polling until the status changes from queued. And remember, real-time endpoints time out quickly, so use batch for anything heavy.